Hi, Shannon Codwell with Purple Lotus Yoga, and in this week's vlog I am sharing with you 10 ways that you can get started teaching yoga. Or if you've taken some time off and you're interested in getting back into the game, these are also some great options for you to look into to restart your yoga teaching. This by far is one of the most frequently asked questions I get from clients who are talking to me about starting teacher training or who are already in teacher training with me. Where can I go to teach yoga? How can I find a place or a space to teach yoga? And what I tell my clients, what I tell my students is, if you will get creative, if you will think outside of the traditional ideas of teaching yoga, such as a studio or a gym like Lifetime or 24-Hour Fitness, you really have this wide open spaces that you can teach in, and I'm going to go and give you 10 of those today. And it's actually a little bit more than 10, but I tried to group them into similar categories. Okay. Number one, the first place that I recommend that people look at for teaching yoga is to go outside. And if you live in, a place where you get warmer weather and shorter winters, then you really have a longer period of time in which you can take advantage of this free outdoor space. You can look at your neighborhood park. You can, if you're lucky enough to live by a beach, you can offer a yoga class there. Or you can do it easily in your backyard. And you don't have to have a fancy backyard. You could just have, enough green space to lay out some mats. And some people do have really excellent backyards. I had one teacher who her backyard looked out onto a lake, and so she always did her classes there. I had another student who she had a really cool deck in her backyard, and so she offered yoga classes on that deck. So number one, get outside. The second space that you can look at is in office buildings. Not necessarily corporate buildings, but smaller business, smaller office businesses. If you live in a city that has like a great downtown area where they're renovating buildings, go check those out. Go see what's already there, what businesses already exist. And perhaps they have a conference room, or they have a business room, a meeting room, or maybe they have off hours that their space isn't being used, and you can go check that out. Look at dance studios, look at martial arts spaces. They do have times in which their spaces are open and available. So go check those out. People are always happy to collaborate and bring others onto their space. The third place that I'm going to encourage you to look at is in churches. Many students who've gone through, they're members of churches, and so they've gone and talked to the people who are in charge of the facilities or in scheduling things. Their churches always have outbuildings, they have classrooms, they have basements, they have meeting rooms, and those spaces aren't being used all the time. So go check out your local church, or if you've got a friend who's a member of a church, talk to them and see what you can do with a church space. The fourth space that I'm going to recommend that you look at is in schools. Now, I would recommend that you approach this in one of two ways. One, if you're just getting started, look at possibly teaching to teachers, because they're so stressed out too, and they would love to have somebody come in after school while they're wrapping up, before they have to go home to the hecticness of their own families, and come in and use their classroom or use the library within a school. Other side of that is if you're interested in teaching kids. This is a great way to kind of go in there and test the waters with kids in schools. School districts may be a little tougher, but look at Montessori schools, look at homeschools. Those spaces, those places are always looking for additional activities that they can expose their kids to. Preschools, Mother's Day out. Those are all great, like school type places that you can check out. Number 5 is a fun one. This is another kind of out of the traditional space, but to look at possibly offering your services at birthday parties. Again, you can look at kids. You know, kids are always having birthday parties. Moms are always looking for cool, new, fresh ways to host a party. And this is a great opportunity, a birthday party. If you're thinking about adults parties, girls' night out. Those are amazing opportunities. Pour a little wine. Offer a few yoga classes. I recommend the wine after yoga, not before, or you might not actually get to the yoga. But girls' nights are so much fun to do. Number 6, look at community centers. A lot of different cities and towns have community centers. There may already be someone established in there doing yoga. There may not, but unless you look into it, you'll never know. Community centers, again, they, summer might be a little bit busier because they have more kids activities, but they may be open. They may be looking for somebody, again, who can come in and offer something a little bit different than what they would typically offer in the past. So go check out those community centers. Number 7 is very similar to a community center, but it's a particular population, and these are senior centers. I know that in my town we have both community centers and specifically senior centers. So go check those out. Senior centers and assisted living, they are always on the hunt for people who are willing to come in and teach classes, whether it's yoga classes, pottery classes, painting classes. So this is an amazing untapped space, is to go in there and look at and talk to the people who run community centers and senior centers. Number 8 is your own home. Is there a space? Do you have a game room? Do you have a media room that you could take advantage of while your kids are at school, while your house is empty? Or maybe, something that you could do on the weekends. So this kind of goes a little bit with your own backyard. And if you don't have a nice yard, maybe you have a room that's not being utilized to its most. Maybe you have a spare guest room that you could rearrange and bring in 3 or 4 people to do yoga. Number 9 is to talk to nonprofit organizations. And all of these places that I'm recommending to you, you are going to have to get out and talk to somebody who is in charge of the facility. Some nonprofits might be a little harder to get started with because they have different protocols in place. So if you wanted to teach maybe at a domestic violence location, you might have a few more things that you have to do in order to teach at that space. You might have to go through a background check or something like that. But again, nonprofits like senior centers, like Montessori schools, they are always looking for people who can come in and volunteer. So if you're looking at a nonprofit, you might have to volunteer your time. But it's a great way to build your experience, or to get back into the swing of things, or, to give back to your community. And number 10, the last thing that I would recommend for you to go and look at is to connect yoga in with another hobby. So I can think of 2 students off the top of my head that not only do they love yoga, but they also love cycling. And so they have offered to go in, or they've talked to people who organize their cycling activities and said, hey, I want, do you think the group would be interested in having a yoga class after a ride? And they have really been met with resounding affirmation. Yes, come on in, come on in. So think about some of the other hobbies that you do, maybe a book club, or painting, or, there's just so many different hobbies out there that they might be interested in being exposed to something different with yoga. All right. Now, I've given you 10 plus places that you can check out for teaching spaces. So the last part of this vlog that I want to share with you is, okay, that's great, Shannon. These are spaces that I can check out. But how do I get people in there to actually take the classes from me? Well, what you got to do is you got to start talking to people. You got to start letting them know, I'm a teacher. I'm going through teacher training. I need to practice. I need to get out there and dust off my training wheels. If you're on Facebook, put a message out there on Facebook and let people know, I am going to be teaching here at this time and at this date. So come on over. If you're not on Facebook, look at your email list. I know you probably have plenty of people that you could email, friends, family, acquaintances, people that you've worked with, your hobby friends. You know, put an email to them, ask them, get their interest in it. And also, you know, you have that old-fashioned way. Pick up your phone and call and invite people directly to come in and take classes from you, all right? So you really, you know, part of getting out there and teaching yoga is that you have to be active and you have to put yourself out there. You have to let people know that you're doing this, and you have to give them an opportunity to participate with you. All right, great. Now, if there is a space that I didn't talk about that you've had great success with, or if you've heard about it, I would love for you to share that in the comments, because we're always trying to help each other find places and find people who can benefit and that we can share our love of yoga with.